So today is November 11th, the 1111 portal, as many people in the spiritual community describe it and refer to it. So the energy seems very potent, even if it's just based on that collective agreement that we've all made that it's a powerful day. And yeah, so I wanted to pull a few cards and see what energies came up for humanity, which is what I'm kind of honing in these readings about, is the themes that are going on in the collective consciousness. I am from the United States, so not surprisingly, it is oriented a little bit more skewed towards the culture that I was raised in, because it's the easiest information for me to interpret. But this really does, because the United States is the current empire, it really does infiltrate all cultures and all areas of the world. We are in a collective process of awakening. And it might be different, it might be expressed differently in different areas of the world, but it's still happening all around the globe. So the three main themes that I got were from the animal card deck, from the Power Animal card deck. It's one of my favorite decks. I love the animal symbolism. And I got, the first card was the Lizard, which is dream time. Pay attention to your dreams and visions. And that, for me, this was a very foundational card. So what came up when I was feeling into this card was that we are for sure being asked to get really clear on the world that we want to be manifesting and the reality that we want to see gaining momentum and strength in our daily lives and in our future lives. So dreams, visions, desires, intentions, all of these things are super important right now. It's very helpful for us to take time, even if it's 15 minutes a couple times a day, to just sit with ourselves quietly in stillness and observe what content is being brought forth inside of you from your own inner world. You know, what are you focusing on? Where's most of your attention going? What's the repetitive thought forms that are showing up? What's the theme of those thought forms? And how would you like to kind of funnel the narrative that you are constantly exposing yourself through your inner dialogue to something more uplifting, something more empowering, something more self-sustaining, something more engaged in collaboration, harmony, or anything else that you're interested in, abundance, thriving, all of those things. But to really take time and start to focus on the things that you are wanting to see gain traction in your own personal reality and in a broader reality. Because this pivotal time is really dependent on what we do with it as individuals, how we choose to navigate it. And it's not to put pressure on ourselves in knowing that. So if you feel like, oh man, I got to put this onto my to-do list, like this is really important, and so I'm going to make it very serious, and it's going to be something that is, life or death. That's not the energy that this has at all. It's more dreamy, it's more light, it's more uplifting, it's more creative. Okay? It's more fun. It's more visionary, If you can tap into that childlike energy, or even just the part of you that is so ever optimistic, like nothing can get that part down. You know that part, right? On those days where somebody scuffed my shoe. That's funny. I wonder what's going to happen next. Like nothing is going to affect your good vibes, right? Like that kind of energy. When you can make a pivot into that, or just be in that and keep staying in that while addressing these things, these topics, that is the PowerPoint right there. That is the position of creation that we're trying to achieve. Because there's no adversary in that energy. And we have to let go of our our eternal adversary, whether it's the devil or the government or, the bad guys or whatever nefarious character you want to apply to your adversary energy. Right along with letting go of our rescuer, guru, savior archetype energy. Like both of those things have got to be released from the collective psyche to move forward. So we're not trying to impress anybody with our really good visionary skills or our commitment to meditation. And we're not trying to vanquish anybody by our commitment to envisioning a reality that we want. There's no adversary, there's no savior. Okay, so that's the first card. Okay, and as a side note, if you do have either one of those themes running in your 15-minute respite, checking in. I almost hate to use the word meditation because it's become such a serious word, but if it's like your 15-minute chill time and you find yourself just continuing to battle with an imaginary character in your mind or praying to an imaginary character in your mind too, that if they just tell you all the right things to do and then you'll get all the rewards, then just lend your attention to loving and caring about that part of yourself that thinks somehow that this is, a test that you have to pass, the savior archetype and the devil archetype, right? Or the adversary archetype. That somehow you're going to get the right answer and then everything's going to fall into place. Give yourself time and space to love and appreciate that part of yourself because it is trying to protect you. So it makes sense that it's there, but if it's running the show, then everything is a potential threat. So it's really hard to be open and available to all the beautiful blessings of life when something is either judging you to decide if you're worthy of reward or, assessing you to see how to annihilate you. And those somethings can show up as people or entities, institutions, governing bodies, religious organizations, like you name it. Anything can embody that for any one of us based on our experiences, what we've been exposed to through the course of our life. So all I'm inviting you to do is let those things come to rest so that your creative energy isn't impeded by fear, and then see what comes up. And if the process of letting that fear subside takes you, 20 15-minute sessions, 5 15-minute sessions, 100 15-minute sessions, the momentum that you're building is so valuable, not just to yourself, but everybody. Because we have a collective consciousness, your contribution is contributing to that collective consciousness. And yeah, that's a lot of information wrapped up in this cute little lizard. Okay, so the next one we had was the frog. And that's just so perfect because now we're talking about purification. Clearing out the clutter. So right back to what I was just saying. It's for sure super valuable right now for us to become very discerning and selective with what we bring our attention and awareness to. And like the frog that can leap from one lily pad to the next, to the next, to the next, not ever really settled. They also represent a lot of adaptability, which is one of our most amazing traits as a species. We are so highly adaptable. But if we don't couple that level of adaptability with discernment and wisdom and honor and selectiveness, not exclusiveness, which I don't want to confuse this with. Selectiveness is using discernment to align with things that fall into alignment with our principles, our values, our heart-centered preferences. And so clearing out the clutter, like as much as we might want to do that, in these larger organizations and in our households, all of those good things, the external manifestations of clutter are great ways of addressing what is and isn't needed. But I'm talking about, for humanity, the internal clutter. So I'm seeing a frog right now that's just landed on a lily pad and is not going anywhere. It is there, giving itself time to be still and to be aware and to take stock, to give itself time to assess. It's like very reflective energy. So I love that it's a frog too, because frogs are associated with water, and water has a very reflective quality to it. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But the clutter within our psyche is what I'm referring to. That's what's really being pointed out right now. This is a very internal process. The cards are very much about having an internal inventory being taken. That's exactly what I want to say. It's about having an internal inventory taken, objectively. No bad guys, no saviors, just a process of reflecting on what is within, what you want to clean, care for, nurture, even maybe repair, and then put back on the shelf of your inner psyche and your personal awareness, and what is ready to be either regifted no, but what you're ready to let go of, whatever is ready to be released. And again, this is not like you as a project. This isn't your next daunting task, that hopefully you have time to take care of in the next, 17, 18 decades or something. This is about keeping a light heart and just taking an interest in yourself, being curious about what's in all of the little rooms inside of yourself. And being okay with walking around with a roller bag that you are putting things in that are not going to make the cut, the clutter cut. And so the final card that we have for this reading is the Elephant. And its message on the card is resolve. You will overcome any obstacles. So that is a very comforting final note for this reading, I can assure you. Because, our memories, it seems, as a species, as a collective species, are very short. We easily compartmentalize the things that have happened and kind of put them away and don't really consider the implications of not having accurate reference points of what's happened in the past to draw wisdom from. So you couple that in with all of the misinformation that's available now, and it's just very confusing. People are very confused, and rightfully so. And that confusion perpetuates the distrust that is a very natural response to how things are operating these days. Distrust is a logical and wise response to how we're being given the information that we need to be educated and informed. So when it comes to something like the elephant, where it's like the elephant remembers everything, always, that's something that we really are in a point in our history where it's important that we tap into that and have access to tools that are offering very accurate and unbiased information that people can then assess for themselves and come to their own conclusions about. So this is about us overcoming these types of obstacles as a culture, as a society, like to demand transparency, to implement methods and protocols and practices that foster only transparency, authenticity, and truthfulness, where there's just no gray area. It's either the truth or it's not the truth. It doesn't have any bias in it. It doesn't have any opinions woven in under the guise of them sounding like facts. If you're offering an opinion, then you should state that it's an opinion, especially being in a position of power, and not stating everything like it's the end-all be-all truth, because 9 times out of 10, it's not. And this is a really great opportunity that we all have when we are going inside and really reflecting on what's true inside of ourselves, to be very forthcoming with what's showing up and not try to hide from ourselves anymore. We have to be honest about the fact that, these systems that we are living within, they are operated by people, and they are perpetuated by people. They are supported by people, and they are engaged with by people. So there seems to be only one logical solution to how things are going to change, and that's by people choosing to be more discerning with the content that they expose themselves to, people being more selective with the type of information that they are willing to accept, people being more demanding of facts being portrayed as facts and everything else being portrayed as something other than facts. And, it's definitely, I get a real general sense that these things are going to be happening more on a local level, more on a small scale level, where it won't be as noticeable. It's not going to be as noteworthy. It's not going to be as newsworthy. And then it'll start to gain traction and just become more and more and more dominant in our collective narrative and the information that we're being exposed to on a larger scale. But at the beginning, which is part of where we are now, we're at a certain beginning phase of this process. These kinds of things are going to be happening in households, in personal relationships, in family dynamics, in small business settings, where there's the separation that was naturally accepted for a very long time starts to feel very unnatural. And then we start to be more collaborative with how we're operating things instead of having such a hierarchical approach to how we manage, navigate, and complete tasks, if you will. And I think we're already starting to see it in school systems and this mass motivation to become entrepreneurs, to, become influencers, to get rich quick schemes, like so many different ways of trying to bypass a life of employment with the hopes of some wonderful retirement it's going to come at the end of your life, and being much more attracted to a life where you're not living to make someone else money, you're not living to accommodate the schedules and demands of an employer. There's a lot more fluidity and personal accountability built into the way that we operate. And in order for all of those things to happen, these are the steps that we all have to take. We really need to be able to be with ourselves sit with ourselves and become observers of what our internal landscape looks like, feels like, and what its message to us is. And then really purify ourselves and get very selective and discerning about what we want to continue to give our attention, intention, focus, and awareness to on a regular basis without making anything right or wrong. Right? We're not making anyone a savior. We're not making anyone an adversary. Everything can be included in this process, and then we can still have unique perspectives and preferences and orientation points that work the best for us to be our highest and most evolved embodied self. And then at the end, trusting that the outcome is already manifested. This trajectory has already been put in place. It's been a long time coming, and while we might be at the beginning stages of some of this process, other ones have been completed. And that's something that is really comforting, I think, to me personally, is I really do know that everything's going to work itself out in the end. I really know it. It's not even an idea or a belief. It's a knowing. And I don't know very many things, but I do know that thing. So the comfort of the elephant just saying, if you can stay committed to this broader intention, to this lovely, delicate, and beautiful seed of an empowered collective consciousness, then you will overcome any and all obstacles and gain so much wisdom through that process that the other side will be something like you've never known before. And doesn't that sound wonderful? So that was a potent message, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I actually made a meditation to go along with this to anchor in the messages that came through and give all of us a chance to really acclimate to that in our nervous system, in our minds, in our psyches, in our emotional bodies. So I'll be adding the link for that in the description below, and I hope you go ahead and click on that and head over there to listen to the meditation for this beautiful reading that we did for humanity. If you're enjoying this content and you want to hear more from me, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you want to, and let's just keep the momentum going as we continue to evolve into this new expanded reality that we're on the trajectory for.